In an exclusive interview, Vice News sat down with former Democratic Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, to talk about the U.S.'s ongoing support for the war in Ukraine. Is there a limit for how much support we can give to Ukraine?
No. Is there a limit to our defense of democracy? Is there a limit to saying, okay, Putin, we are limited in our enthusiasm for stopping your illegal, immoral, indecent invasion of another country? I don't think there's any limit to our opposition to that.
Since stepping down as Speaker of the House, Pelosi has made continued military support for Ukraine one of her most central missions.
We're there for the fight.
But as the war now drags into its 19th month, the cracks in support are starting to show.
What we don't need to do is spend any more money on Ukraine.
How much more for Ukraine? Is there any limit?
A small but vocal group of Republican lawmakers are speaking out against U.S. support for Ukraine.
The question is Ukraine now the 51st state of the United States of America?
Some of the Republican lawmakers that are speaking up against the war say that the worry is that a blank check towards Ukraine could lead to problems similar to Afghanistan, to wars in Iraq. What do you say to that kind of?
It's a completely different situation. Completely different situation. The people of Ukraine are fighting for their democracy and ours. They're fighting for democracy writ large. We don't have boots on the ground. They're fighting their fight, and we're helping them not only defend themselves, but rid themselves of the Russians coming in.
Do you worry about those dissenting voices growing?
No. I mean, never take anything for granted. But the fact that they got like a third of the Republicans, and considering the source, this isn't like these were major figures in foreign policy or national security who were speaking out. These were just naysayers. We don't put too much value on naysayers, and with all respect to their point of view.
We sat down with President Zelensky in March of 2022 at the height of the invasion.
Okay, let's sit. Sit down, please.
And back then he was talking about the need for negotiation. Can you make a compromise with Putin? Can you trust Putin?
Trust? Oh no, I trust only my family. I trust my family and my people.
How can you make a deal with somebody you don't trust then?
We have to. We have to, because to stop this war, how to stop this war? Only dialogue.
Now, that is not something that's discussed much anymore, but a lot of people say that it needs to be. Where do you stand on the need for discussion and negotiation to end the fighting?
Well, if you spoke with President Zelensky in March of 2022, just a matter of weeks or days from the invasion of Russia, that was one thing. I visited him just a couple of weeks after that in Kyiv with my delegation, our delegation. Since then, the whole attitude of the war has been different. They have just committed so many crimes against civilization. There's no way you could negotiate unless there's a change in that. What are you going to say? You've stolen our children, you've raped our women, you've killed our soldiers, you've taken our land. Now let's negotiate? No. Now it's different. I have the high privilege and the distinct honor of presenting to you His Excellency Volodymyr Zelensky, President of the Ukraine.
When President Zelensky came and spoke in Congress, it was such an important day. Just walk me through what that was like for you.
For us, was just as big as it gets. A president coming from the theater of war directly to the House, the joint session of the Congress of the United States, with all the courage that that involved, with all the urgency that was there.
We stand, we fight, and we will win because we are united. Ukraine, America, and the entire free world.
We were overwhelmed to receive the flag directly from the battlefield, where those young people, with all the courage, with all the commitment to democracy, with all the determination that winning was the only option, and now having that message manifested in that flag. It was quite a historic moment.
According to U.S. officials, nearly 500,000 soldiers have been killed or injured since the Russian invasion last February. And as the Ukrainian counteroffensive crawls forward, those numbers continue to grow.
More than a year and a half into this war, this counteroffensive is making inroads, but it's slower than I think a lot of people expected. I mean, how have you been seeing this counteroffensive play out on the ground?
The counteroffensive, by admission of the Ukrainians, has not gone as quickly or strongly as they had hoped, but that doesn't mean it won't. We have to make sure that the counteroffensive works. We must win this war. It must be won. And we cannot not win because we have withheld something. So the NATO countries, including the United States, have to, one way or another, make sure that the Ukrainians have what they need to win the war.